I'm getting this yawn out. I'm gonna stretch out. I'm waking up. All right, ready? Three, two, one.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Buckhouse podcast. I'm Johnathan Buckhouse, one of your hosts. Benjamin Buckhouse, right over there, is the other host of this YouTube podcast that we do once a week where we get together, talk all things, everything, whether it's social media, video games, snowboarding, whatever. But today, we're talking about change. I don't know if you can feel it in the air, bro. I can feel it in the air. And I know a lot of people are sad. Some people are stoked. I know my life was better 4 years ago, but Trump is president, dude. I'm coming out swinging. A lot of people aren't stoked about that. I personally am. I've already seen a huge financial gain from it. And I don't know. I am really excited for the direction of our country, where in the last 4 years I wasn't. And I'm not the biggest Trump fan. I'm not a right guy. I'm not a left guy. I'm just excited for something different because I wasn't stoked.
You really are swinging for the fences today. I was
Dude,
there was
we're
no
going for
warning.
views.
There
We're
was
going for comments. We're going for views. We're going for unsubscribers. No, it's one of those things, guys. Like, we're not going to talk mad politics, but watched the inauguration yesterday. My life was exponentially better 4 years ago. And a lot of people say like the president doesn't dictate your finances, doesn't dictate your life, things like that. I'm in a people need to be having money kind of industry. You know, people aren't going on ski trips if they don't have money, and the economy clearly is in a crapshoot right now. So if the economy turns around, my business turns around. So let's go.
since we're swinging for the fences. One thing Daddy Trump did say for you is TikTok, bro.
That's exactly my point. My point exactly. I am making a lot of money right now on TikTok, and literally like the day before it banned, I had a TikTok make me over $500. I'm like, now that's gonna like just go away? Like this is just gonna disappear? Plus like all the brand deals I get, and I've gotten over 100,000 followers on it this year. So like I have almost 300,000. Like it's got good momentum on TikTok right now. It's like that's probably gonna be my first platform to hit 1 million followers, which is a big deal when I reach out to brands, when brands reach out to me to get more money in brand deals. As Ben said, Daddy Trump saved my platform.
That was a topic I wanted to talk about. The impact that TikTok had for you, because I wouldn't say that TikTok has been hit or miss for you, but it wasn't like a big thing for a little bit. It was kind of of your platforms. I think that YouTube was like your fastest growing, and then Instagram, and then TikTok, and then Twitter, which that's a whole different beast. Which I wish I could help you with that, bro.
Taking off now.
Facebook's taken off. There we go.
Almost at 10,000 on Facebook. This is the thing with TikTok is it's one of the more frustrating apps because they change their policies with their creators so often, and they go from like paying you a bunch to not paying you a bunch to this to that. Right now, this winter, I have cracked the code, and what I'm doing is not only getting me a ton of followers, it's getting me a ton of views, and it's getting me a good amount of money, which is sweet, and I'm sticking with it. I finally made some money on Instagram. I have a Instagram. Let's see what the count is right now.
17.5 million.
Is that what that video's at?
Yeah. Because it caught my attention.
It made me $1,000, which is sad.
It's awesome. Anytime
you can get $1,000. It's like sick, $1,000. Put that on TikTok, or if you put that on TikTok, that you're looking at like almost 15 grand.
That is tough.
Nah.
Doesn't YouTube
Yeah,
pay the best of the three though?
Yeah, that was on YouTube. Oh, not for short, but if that was a long form YouTube video, we're looking at almost like 20 grand in AdSense. So, Instagram, figure it out. But like TikTok going away would have hurt my business model. I have 3 main platforms. Most creators only have 1 main platform, and like I just went to Italy, which we're going to talk about, because of my Instagram, not because of my YouTube, not because of my TikTok. Well, yes, it is. They wanted the videos to show up on Instagram and TikTok, but they're primarily concerned about my Instagram following and things like that. So it would hurt me a lot. and it did get banned for 12 hours. But like when it was like Instagram's dark, like sorry. And then the next day I opened my phone and it's like thanks to Daddy Trump. It's so fun to say, so dumb.
No, I was laughing. I knew that it was going to impact you, so I wasn't happy, but I was laughing when like TikTok got banned because I personally actually don't really use TikTok. I jump on it maybe once every couple of days, but like I'm kind of in just like I'll check my notifications because I still do have videos that do well. So I actually still get notifications, and then I also get messages from some friends, and actually Johnathan sends me TikToks every now and then, but I don't really spend time on TikTok. So when it got banned, it was one of those like I know this is going to affect my brother, and that does suck, and I know it's going to affect I think the number that the news says, which is it's it is what it is, but they said like 7 million small businesses are going to get affected by this. Like it was sad, but the way people were reacting about it was just kind of like calm down.
Depends though, because some people like. Once again, I'm not dependent on one thing. If TikTok goes away, I'm going to take a slight bump. I'm going to adjust and put more energy into the other things that I have to balance out. Some people are only TikTok creators, and the amount I make off TikTok could be like literally someone's living for a year. Does that make sense? And so if I'm pulling those numbers and someone else is pulling those numbers, and then that app goes away, but their Instagram's only 10,000 and they don't have anything on YouTube, I'd cry. There you go. You're back to the workforce. Go restart a Target instead of sitting in your house dancing. Like that sucks.
I do see what you're saying, and I'm surprised that if you're somebody that's doing TikTok full time, why aren't you posting to the other platforms? Like I know that they're not the same. But I would probably say about 25% of the content that you post to TikTok, you could just post to Instagram and YouTube, and they will do well. They may not do as well, but they will do well.
The 3 same videos on all 3 platforms with slight tweaks, and like you never know which one's gonna pop. So like right now, none of them are popping on YouTube. I haven't had a YouTube short do well at all this entire winter, which is kind of frustrating. But that 17.5 million view on Instagram, which almost got me 10,000 new followers, by the way, which is really cool. On TikTok, it's only 3.5 million, but I've also had one on TikTok hit like 10 million views, and on Instagram only hit like 100,000. So you don't know which platform it's going to pop on.
So speaking of swinging for the fences, like we said, no, it's a different analogy, but we talk about so a strategy that we haven't necessarily addressed with what you're doing by posting 3 shorts a day, and you're also posting it on all 3 platforms. So in theory, by technicality, you're posting 9 videos a day. What that is you have 9 at-bats to hit a home run. You have 9 chances to hit a home run, right? You have 9 chances for a video to go viral. And so, sometimes they have multiple. And, you were talking about this one video. This video that Jonathan's talking about is the like future of ski lifts, or basically that's what it is. And it's this crazy ski lift he went on in Italy. On TikTok, 4.5 million views. That's a considerably good video, especially for your channel, bro. And then on Instagram, it got 17.5 million. That's a really good video. But even on YouTube,
I would say that 17.5 is like might be the most viral video I've ever had on Instagram.
But even on YouTube, that one got 213,000 views, which is really good for your that's really good for your recent videos. So that was one of those videos that it was attention grabbing enough on all 3 to where it has good traction on all 3 with all things considered. But, when it comes to these other content creators, although TikTok may have been your starting point, although Instagram may have been your starting point, or maybe you're only a YouTube person, by you just posting it to other platforms, you have chances for it to go viral. Johnathan started on YouTube, and that video is doing better on his Instagram and TikTok than it is on his YouTube. You have to diversify, and you have to give yourself as many at bats to go viral as possible.
I also have my Instagram set up to repost. For some reason, it got shut off at the beginning of the winter, but I got it set up again to repost all of my Instagram shorts onto Facebook. So as a Facebook reel, and those are all doing really well. So we're up to 12 at bats, and trying to find this video. And on Facebook, it's gotten 2.7 million views. So yeah, that video, and it's funny because I knew this video was going to do really well. I didn't think it was going to do this well. But the funny thing, if we want to start switching over to Italy, was they didn't want me to post that video because I learned so much about the Dolomites and where I went in Italy. And I'm going to start this off by saying, you do not understand how large these mountains and resorts are. Like it as an American, you cannot comprehend it. I can't even, like Vail Bend doesn't even come close to the scale of how big these are.
That's crazy because Vail is massive. Here, since we talked about it in, I think, last week's podcast of Park City being the largest resort in North America, is it comparable to that?
No, it poops on it. It's like 40 park cities.
40 park cities?
I don't know if it's because Europe is so old and there's been people playing around in the Alps for so long. But in America, we would look at these peaks of these mountains and be like, oh no, we're never going to put anything up there. There's no way. And in Europe, they're like, that needs a gondola. Like that needs, like, they have chairlifts going to the most gnarly. I don't even understand how humans, they have conquered the Alps. And they have put chairlift and infrastructure and buildings in the wildest places. And so I'm sure you've seen some of my videos on how sharp and like jaggedy and rocks and things like that. All of those have, not only do they have like chairlifts on them, but in the summertime they all have like the climbing like rings and things. Like they have conquered these mountains. They've been all over. It's wild. But so I knew I didn't understand how large this resort was, but then I got there and I really, really, really did understand how large it is. But the simplest way to explain the Dolomites is in the main section is this huge rock formation. Absolutely massive. And
real quick, we literally made a short about how you said I like being a content creator because I could just go to these resorts and talk about rocks. And that is exactly what you're doing.
Wait till you see
the first vlog. The first vlog was literally me like, look at this rock. Whoa, that rock. So the massive rock formation in the middle, and it was 27 miles to go around it. And one half of the rock is Trentino, which is who brought me out there, Visit Trentino. And so I think of that as like Vail Resorts. And then the other side is Icon. But they're partnered together with one super pass called the Dolomite Ski Super Pass. So despite them being competitors, they're on the same ski pass. So technically you have three entities where you have like Ski Trentino, I don't know the competitor's name, and then you have the Dolomite Super Pass that's working with them. But then in Ski Trentino are mini resorts or sides of, because it's that massive. So I had to like figure out who I needed to tag, where I was. Like, was I at Val di Bassa or was I at San Montino? Like, I was in all these different sections. But that chairlift and all the fancier lifts were on the Icon side, the competitor side. So they didn't want me to like film over there and post content from that side. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how were you able to, or did you just say like, screw it, I'm going to do what I want?
Oh, I said, screw it. This is going to make me, not make me a lot of money. This is going to go viral. I knew this video was going to do well. Because I've been like, I knew these chairlifts existed. And it's a funny balance of like, that's huge in Europe. And in the United States, I think there's only, in Montana, I think Big Sky's the only one with one of those like race car chairlift, like craziness. You know what I'm saying? So like some Americans know about it. 90% of Americans don't know about it. everyone in Europe knows about those chairlifts. Exactly. So like it's the perfect balance. If you go read the comments, people being like, "This isn't new. This is old. Like this is that." Like, and so by playing the fine line of like of ignorance, or like, "Hey, like, I'm gonna show you something that's so cool and new," and to most people it is cool and new, and to some people it's not. It it is a recipe for success all the time. It happens with other things where I'm like, let me show you this really cool thing with snowboarding. And some people are like, wow, I didn't know that. Some people are like, that's not new. Like, that's this. So I was able to post it because I hit my posting limit or what I needed to do for Trentino. I hit all my credentials. Does that make sense? Or not credentials, my deliverables. So at that point, I have all this. I can do whatever. I can do whatever I want. But while I was there, while I was posting for them, while I was like on that trip, I respected them and I saved those videos. So I got back to the U.S. They're still happy that they wrote me and they were like, that video's going insane. Like they were happy, you know, like because the whole point is like show Americans Europe was the whole point of my trip.
That's awesome. That's a wholesome experience. I feel like for them. Like I'm happy to hear that number one, that they not only were not mad that you posted that video, but they actually were like, that's awesome that it's doing well. Like that's a good feeling. So
yeah, and that wasn't my only like. I had a couple others hit 1 million views out there, so the content did really well while I was out there. I did not do well at posting long form at all, but our day started at 7 in the morning, and I wasn't like back in the hotel room till like 10 p.m. most nights. So like there was just, and then we're riding the entire time, other than these really long lunches. You know, so like, and then when I get back to the room, I'd have to get the shorts done because that's what I've decided is the must do is the 3 shorts a day. So there just wasn't time to do long form content while I was out there, which was, I mean, me as who I am, I really beat myself up for that. But it is what it is. But I have never experienced this level of luxury in my life.
I wanted to ask you about it. Like, how was the hotel? How was the food? How was the alcohol? Tell me about it, bro.
Well, the alcohol. First off, this trip probably, if someone was to go and doing everything I did, it had to be close to like, I mean, it's cheaper in Europe, but like if you were to get this experience in the U.S., I would estimate this type of trip around 20K. It was crazy. So like, because not only would we like go ride these awesome resorts, we had ski instructor guides the entire time, whether they helped us film or helped us if you wanted to get better, you know, they would give you technique. But they also like knew these resorts are massive. So they guided us around. They took us to what we wanted to see and what we wanted to do, everything like that. The terrain parks were very, very small, which was really sad. And the snow wasn't the greatest, which is a bummer because 2 of the instructors were literally instructors for like backcountry riding, and which is crazy. I didn't know that they had that. But and so if the snow was better, oh man, we would have been coming home with some clips. Instead, I got a lot of groomed run riding, which is fine. I'll be back. So we had guides the whole day that took us around. The hotel was a nice hotel. Hotels in Europe are smaller in general. It wasn't ski in, ski out, but we had shuttles to the resort every single day. But once again, these resorts are massive, so we were going to like an hour away, but it's still ski Trentino. Like it's still in the Dolomites, but it's a different section than where we were the day before. Things like that. We'd go get lunch. Everything had we always got a charcuterie board. So like before even your food showed up, there charcuterie boards. There was so much steak and meat and potatoes. I don't think I saw a vegetable the entire time other than a pickle. And like, I've said this multiple times on the podcast, but my body doesn't react well to 3 things: beer, cheese, and bread. I ate so much beer, cheese, and bread that I looked like the Michelin Man by the time I came back. I was so bloated and so like, oh, but I couldn't stop eating it. I was good. I kept eating it. There was only one cheese I had that I was like, never again. It was super stinky and like, oh, it was awful.
So this is almost a full circle comment I want to say, but it's like, bro, you were born in Wisconsin, and for somebody born in Wisconsin to be that sensitive to cheese and beer, that's almost
and bread.
yeah. But also we don't actually have to dwell on this too much, but or talk about it too much. But full circle moment, Johnathan was almost born in Italy. Our dad was stationed in Italy in the army, and Johnathan our family was overseas at the time, and Johnathan was almost born in Italy, and then my mom was like, I'm not letting that happen, and flew him back to Wisconsin. Isn't that crazy?
Dad was like, I didn't have the time to help, so my mom flew back to have me in Wisconsin with her mom so she could have help while my dad was a ski instructor for the military in Italy. So that was really, I really wish I had dual citizenship. That would have been cool. Go eat cheese and beer all the time. But the way you order beer in Italy or in Europe is my favorite. You know, can I have a beer? They go small or big, and you go big, and that beer just shows up, and it's a lager, and it's one of the best lagers you're ever gonna have. It's not like in America where there's 17 different choices and IPAs and this and that. I'm sure they hate ordering alcohol in the U.S., but it's amazing. And someone mentioned like, oh, I guess you're not off the alcohol thing, and I don't. To just touch on that real quick, when last two podcasts ago, whatever, we were talking about New Year's, whatever. I'm not going no alcohol this year. I'm going less alcohol. So like on the day to day, not having like a beer here, a beer there, that. It's like maybe once a week I'll have some alcohol with my wife, and that's it. Or if I go on a trip like to Italy, yeah, I'm gonna drink beer every single day because I can go to Austria in 2 weeks. I'm getting a large beer for lunch and dinner, and not for lunch. I don't like to drink red. But just to clear that up, because someone commented like, "Oh, I guess you're not off or I guess you're not off the alcohol." Like, that's not my plan. Maybe next year. I don't want to do it this year, but maybe another year. I'll do like a whole year no alcohol. Because Ben did a whole year no alcohol. I've done 75. Like, I can stop drinking alcohol when I want to, essentially. So I'm not worried about going like a whole year no alcohol, things like that. So you go like the lunches were insane because like you ride around for like 3-4 hours, and just when you start feeling like really good, you're like, all right, time for lunch. You're like, oh, okay. And then you'd sit down, you get a charcuterie board, you eat a bunch of bread, cheese, I didn't drink a beer, but you ate a lot. And then you go out and you have like 3 more hours of riding, and you're just like, oh. And the lunches were like 2 hours long. And now that's a little exaggerated. It's like an hour to an hour and a half. Definitely like an hour and a half. So after that, you go ride, everything like that. And then some of the days, most of the days, like we didn't go back to the hotel, or if we did go back to the hotel, it was like for an hour and a half. You like shower, change clothes. Then we go like back to the ski resorts and like get on like private cats that would drive us up to these private huts that are like super gorgeous, whatever, and have like 5-star meals and like flyer lit charcuterie boards and like the craziest experiences that like I'm sure is why I said this trip would have cost $1 trillion, is because all of those experiences were like, you'd look around and see the people that were there that also were doing the experiences, and you're like, okay, I should have dressed up a little nicer.
I'm sure that the company was like, yeah, he's a snow bro, he'll be fine. Like, we know what we're getting ourselves into. No, I'm joking, but that sounds like a phenomenal trip, bro. Like, that sounds like a once in a lifetime type experience, and that's, I'm jealous that you got to do that, bro. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so like my Clue trip was amazing. My Clue trip was a lot closer to the way I ride, where it's like we'd have lunch, but it was shorter, and it was like go, ride park, what I want to do. Like, there was like Clue was helping me on a trip to Europe. We still ate great food, like it was amazing. This one was the ski resort. Essentially, it was like we're gonna have you show us off. So let's go do our things. Does that make sense?
No, that does make sense. And if Vale were to send you out to, a resort, that it would, it would be that kind of experience. I feel like as well, depending on the resort, of course. But what's the one in Canada? That's Whistler. Like if they, yeah, like if they sent you out to Whistler, I feel like you could get a similar experience where they probably put you in like a ski in, ski out lodge, and they'll get you, maybe a tour and things along those lines. So yeah, but for them, that's like that costs them nothing, right? Like that's just like they're essentially paying that person. They're not they're just not making additional money by putting you there. It's not like they're losing money though. So for them, that's like an easy experience. Whereas for Clue, like they don't own that resort or anything. So if they wanted to put you in this killer, ski resort or whatever, they have to pay out of pocket for that. So it makes sense, and I'm happy. Like this sounds like a win-win for everybody. And I can't remember the company's name, but the ski resort, honestly, kudos to you for make Tino. Kudos to you for making this decision. Trino, what'd you say?
Trentino.
Trentino.
Tino.
You got cut out, so all I heard was like Tino, but so I got Trentino. Shout out, like kudos to you for making the decision to take some Americans, especially somebody like Johnathan, who, talking him up. Like he is a big deal, especially in like Colorado or even in certain parts of the United States. Like a lot of people know who he is, and so to take him and to send him to your place to get attraction and to just bring attention to Europe in general, not even just the Trentinos, but just like everywhere. So I think that's a phenomenal experience, and kudos to you.
I'm just thankful I was worth it, if that makes sense, at least on the deliverable aspects. Because like you think, like I think about it, and I'm like, yo, I'm not the only snowboard content creator out there, and also like there's a lot that are bigger than me now. I'm not the largest snowboard content creator in the U.S. by any measure, all that type of stuff. But then like they found me and they asked me, like it's like what? Okay, I'm really good at pointing at rocks. I think that's why.
I will say, I think something that does. So I'm not as much in this this area. Honestly, I've been really proud of my lack thereof social media presence. I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I'm really proud of that. But I'm essentially going to say this in a question form of like, would you say that you travel more than other content creators? Because I feel like based off of what I've seen, you do. I don't really follow any of the other snowboard content creators or anything, so I can't attest to that. But it seems like you are more willing to make this trip to Italy. You are more willing to make this trip to, Austria or wherever you're going to go. It seems like you're more willing to do that than the average snowboard content creator. What's your stance on that?
No, I would say a lot of them are willing to travel and do. I guess the old school ones do. I wouldn't say that. I would say they're all definitely down to travel. I just think a lot of my content that goes kind of viral is somewhat wholesome in a way. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it, like you catch someone's vibe. I think that helps me, as I do think I have a good social media vibe, whether I'm like talking about a slam or dealing with Roman or showing off something. People catch my vibe and they're like, hey, that's a person I would want to hang out with. I'm going to invite them to come to Europe and join our influencer team and show off our ski resorts. And we're looking for Americans, and like, this is the dude.
That's fair. I could attest to that. I could say that you bring a certain level of professionalism to it that like a ski resort would want to have present at these events. So I could see that. I would agree to that. I wouldn't ever want to hang out with you, but I would say you're professional enough to.
It's a fine line of like professionalism and fun. Like I'm gonna go have fun and essentially an adult kid and be wowed and laugh and have a good time, but also like the video will be done professionally. It's going to be the right angles. The talking is going to be clear and concise, other than saying words that are not in my language. And yeah, it all works out, and I'm very thankful and stoked. And I think they were shocked at my ability to be self-efficient, because they had like a filmer out there, and a lot of the other content creators that came out needed help like making their content, things like that. And they kept being like, "Need help, Jonathan?" I'm like, "No, I got it. I just need to I need to do this run. Like, we're just standing here," and like things like that. And so it's and then they see the content I was making. They're like, "Jesus, dude, like, you're a machine."
We did talk about it last podcast, but what was that language barrier like? Were there a lot, or did they speak a lot of English?
So I showed up, and the person staying there with the sign to pick me up from the airport, I walk up, I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" No English. Only speaks Italian. I'm like,
Great.
"Oh, crap." I'm supposed to, and the dude wasn't supposed to pick me up for like 2 hours, 3 hours. So I was gonna sit in the airport and like edit, but the dude picked me up like the moment I landed, and then wanted to go like wait for the next person we were supposed to pick up. Where what was supposed to happen is I was supposed to chill at the airport for like 2 or 3 hours, get picked up, immediately go pick up someone else, and then get to the airport. But the dude picked me up right away, and I'm in this car with someone that doesn't speak my language, and we're using like the Google Translate app, and he's like, it worked out because he was like, "Hey, he's like, do you want to just sit in the car, or do you like want to see? There's a lake near Verona, Italy. That's massive. Like, probably like I don't know how big it is. I'm not gonna guess, but it's massive." And he's like, "You want to go see it?" And so I got to drive through Italy and like see this really huge, big section of the lake and all this type of stuff. And then we went to this little town, and we were walking around, and then the lady in charge of the trip called and was like, "Oh, just bring him to the hotel." And so I didn't have to wait 3 more hours chilling in there. But I got to see more of Italy because of that, which was cool. And then once I got to the hotel and got with the team, everyone spoke English. And that was the only person I encountered that didn't speak any English. But he became my buddy with the Google Translate app.
That's hilarious. I feel like that like when you were talking about it, I was envisioning like Home Alone, where he was touring around New York with like the pizza and stuff, and they're just like sightseeing. Like that's what it felt like. That's what it seemed like you were explaining. But that's funny that was your first interaction. I'm sure that almost scared you for your like, is this what my trip's gonna be like?
Yeah, it was a little like also like that's the first time I ever had a connection in Europe. So I landed in Germany and then I flew to Verona, Italy. And I mean, most things, there's English everywhere for the most part. Very rarely will you run into something that's like not English or anything like that. But like I went from a United to Lufthansa airline, and they're like partners, but I like had to like ask people like is my bag, like, do I need to, because some like if you fly to Denver, you get out of the air, like you go through customs, and you got to grab your bags. So you got to get your bags, go through customs, and then you got to recheck your bags to fly anywhere else in the United States. Where I didn't know if it was going to be like that, like in Europe or things like that. But my bag just like went where it needed to go, things like that. So thankfully, when I fly to for the Clue trip in 2 weeks, I fly direct to Munich, which is that's how I flew home. As I flew from Munich straight home, and so that's easy. And I've been in that airport a bunch now, so that helps being comfortable with the world traveling. But I can't imagine going to. There's other countries that like they don't have English everywhere, just played everywhere. They don't speak English, things like that. So I'm getting better at figuring it out, essentially, in a different country with not speaking the language. It's so much easier nowadays too. With like literally, I can open my phone, go to the Translate app, which comes installed defaultly on your phone, pick the language, and start talking. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's only getting better. I've heard of like, I think the Google earbuds have been tested, or like have a beta thing where it's like real time translation, to where as long as you have the earbuds in and somebody's speaking to you in a language and you essentially have the setting turned on, it'll translate it in real time to you, which is just crazy to think about.
That is really cool. Too bad you can't say it back unless they have it in also.
Yeah, no, that would be wild. But
But I mean, understanding one side of the conversation does help out a lot. It's really, I mean, as the person on the other side, because normally in America, it's someone that speaks Spanish and you're trying to help them out. Um, but to be on the opposite side, where like I don't speak your language and you're trying to help me, and they're willing to help you, does that make sense? It's kind of fun. It's like a puzzle.
yeah, no, that is fun. I've never been on that side because the majority, like, yeah, I've had to help people that only speak Spanish a ton. I've had to do that a ton, working at Best Buy or Target or whatever I was doing, or actually, and not even just Spanish, because even when I was working at the airport, we would have Europeans come to travel out there and things like that. So yeah, I've had to help out a lot of people, and it most definitely is like a different uh, experience. But I've never had it the other way around, where I needed help and I didn't speak their language. You know?
So the big thing right now, and the reason why I didn't like Europe wanted me to come out there, I also got invited by Turkey or by Turkish Airlines to go to Turkey in March. Same deal. Turkish Airlines and this Turkish ski resort want me to go out and just do what I did, um, which is really exciting. Hopefully that we're in negotiations right now, so hopefully that comes to fruition. Um, where was I going with this? Oh, a lot of Americans, it's trendy right now. Like, hey, Americans, like, don't go to Vail, don't go to Breckenridge. It's so expensive. You're gonna spend like $10,000 to $20,000 for like a very basic trip. Go to Europe and spend $20,000 and have like the trip of a lifetime, like I just had. Um, and it's hard because I understand why so many Americans don't travel out of the U.S. because the U.S. is so massive. And there's so much traveling you can do in the U.S. But if you've been to Vail a couple of times, you've been to Breckenridge a couple of times, I highly encourage it. I think going to Europe was incredible. Your first interaction might be someone that only speaks Italian, but after that, once you get to the resort, everyone speaks English. It's super easy. Um, the things that are going to be cheaper are going to be like your stay, your lift tickets, and the food is like depending on where you get it, it's a little cheaper.
I've got like a video idea, but it's such a fine line, and this is why I almost want to dive into. But like, you could almost make a video where it's exactly what you said. Like, hey, don't go spend $10,000 at Vail and have a mediocre trip. Go to Europe instead. Like, that's essentially the premise of the video, and you kind of break that down. And it could be like, oh, you can't. I wouldn't say you can't, but it wouldn't necessarily be worth the investment for you to make this video. But it's like, imagine if you calculated how much you just kind of spent in Europe. Not you, of course, but the trip cost you, and then you spent a comparable amount to Vail and showed off what you would get one at the other and stuff. And like, that's the video. And where I'm kind of getting at is like, it's in theory it sounds cool, but number one, that's not actually worth the investment. Like a $20,000 video, yeah, that's not actually worth the investment. But also, you don't want to give bad blood to Vail. You don't want to, because you
Yeah, I'm not trying to go poop on them.
yeah, you don't want to poop on them, but it's like, they almost deserve it a little bit, right?
I think a good video is like, hey, like let's cover the difference between if you want to go ski in Europe versus you want to ski in the United, like in Colorado. So like, let's say you live in New York and you want to ride in Colorado, or you want to go ride the Dolomites, and then just compare the trips and the cost
Yeah.
between like, all right, flights are going to cost this, travel between or hotels are going to cost this, travel between everything is going to cost that, whether it's rental cars or shuttles, probably do shuttles. And then it's like average food cost is going to be this, lift tickets are this, and then just like, so at the end, you'll save $1,000 or $2,000 compared to going to Colorado, but also like this is the type of experience you're going to get, which is different than this experience. So, but it's one of those things where, and I talked about it in a short, if you don't mind taking risk and going quote unquote off piste or riding the side country, the stuff that's not groomed. If you go ride the stuff that's not groomed, the off piste, it's amazing, and like riding in Europe is incredible. But if you stick to just the groomed run, it's kind of boring. Does that make sense? Like the average run in America is more fun. It's got side hits, it's got rollers, it's got bumps. Like we have mogul runs. Like the variety of run we have is better because in Europe it's the off-piste riding, which is the non-groom stuff, is normally all powder, but it's all backcountry. And if you're not paying attention, you could literally ride off 1,000-foot cliff.
Sheesh.
I'm not joking. Like you got to be like you got to know what you're going down, and like or you can ride into like they have no ski patrol and they don't rope anything off.
That is terrifying. That is terrifying.
Essentially, they're saying this groomed run is what you're riding. Like this is our run, and like in Europe, carving is like the thing. So it's like the perfect grade. I don't know if they do dirt work or whatever, but like it's like just as smooth as they can get it. You're not finding rollers and jumps and things. You can find somewhat side hits, but for the most part, they're not like natural side hits like you get on like school norm and things like that. So it's just like this really flat run that in the morning is fantastic for getting some room, fast carves. And then like by the end of the day, like the skiers have scraped it all like it to ice and it's a little gnarly, things like that. So it's different riding for sure than in the US, like exponentially different. But if you catch it with good snow, it's the most incredible riding you could do.
Considering what you said of it being like carving is the thing, did you see some impressive snowboarders like carving the mountain or not so much?
One instructor. I mean, all the instructors are incredible riders, but one dude, me and him were vibing. He'll be in the video. I like filmed him carving a little bit. He had the moves. He had the carve moves for sure. The laydowns and all that type of stuff. He had good energy.
Little Ryan Naptons out there. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I mean that style is starting to take off a little bit. I want to go to Japan and see all the butter dudes, all the ground trickers, like doing all their hopping and jumping and spinning.
I will say some of the most impressive stuff I find on a snowboard, like that impresses me a ton, are people that can flex a board a certain way and they just end up doing a like. You would be able to tell me it better, but like Zeb Powell does it a lot, where he'll be going over the knuckle of a jump and just the way he flexes his board. And mind you, he's not hitting the jump; he's just going over the knuckle of the jump. But he'll like be essentially doing a backflip over the knuckle, but his head is barely above the knuckle itself, and he's doing some crazy trick. Like that is so impressive to me.
Oh, the X Games! I was invited to the X Games, but by X Games, but they couldn't give me a room, and then so they're like, "Well, if we can't get you a room, what's your ad rate?" I told them my ad rate, what it would cost me to be there, because I'd have to get my own room and stuff, and we couldn't work out a deal. So it would have been cool to be at the X Games as a influencer.
They couldn't get you a room at X Games? That's almost laughable, I feel like.
If it was like summer X Games, I feel like it'd be totally different. But because it's winter X Games in Aspen, Colorado, one of the most expensive places to go, and everyone's going out for X Games, they don't have a lot of hotels and things. Does that make sense? Especially at like an affordable rate.
Yeah, but it's
also all the athletes have to get their own rooms and stuff covered.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but I'm like one room. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean exactly. That's why I was like, hey guys, like I'd love to come promote X Games and be a part of it, but like if I'm getting nothing out of it other than a media credential, like sorry, because it's 3 hours away from me and I have kids and things, like it's not possible. And like usually what happens, so let's say like Red Bull will get like a hotel for all the Red Bull athletes that are competing.
That's crazy. That's got to be like a $14 million like trend. Like we're taking this whole hotel. Like what?
I don't know if they take the whole hotel, but like if you're riding for X Games, or if you got invited to X Games, or you're one of the top athletes, Marcus Cleveland or whatever, like they want you there, and the barrier of you being there is a hotel room. They're gonna make sure you're there.
Yeah.
But those are the big dogs, the smaller athletes have to do it different.
influencers that only like rocks, they're just not as, as important as the athletes. No.
Like, look, there's not a lot of rocks at X Games. Like, there's X Games is not known for its rocks. It's super funny. But no, the trip was sick. Highly recommend it. There was something else. I loved watching the Lions and the Vikings go 0-1 in the playoffs.
Yes, as much crap as they talk to us Packers, I will say it was great to be like, well, we have the same amount of playoff wins this year, so it doesn't really matter. But no, it was great to see them not do well.
To talk football real quick, I know you guys, some people might not like the football talk, but like the Packers have owned our division for my entire life. So then you got the Vikings and the Lions finally starting to do okay. And they're like, and the Packers are doing like, they're not doing bad. But like, we no longer have Aaron Rodgers. And everyone's like, finally, the Packers are going to suck. We're not sucking. We're doing okay. But it just so happens the Lions and Vikings did better than us this year. And their fans are so excited to be like, eat it, Packers. Like when the Vikings beat the Packers, I get so many messages. And same thing with the Lions. But you guys go 14-2 or 14-3 and 15-2 and go on the playoffs and just get your butts kicked. It's like, like the Packers also lost the first round in the playoffs, but we were a lower seed. Like we were not as good. Also, we didn't get our butts kicked. I feel like we lost, but we kind of beat ourselves. Where the Vikings and the Lions got beat.
So I know everybody can complain about this. And that's the refs and how bad they are. But I do just want to chime in and say, to put it in perspective how bad it was, I actually missed it. So was it the first play? Was it the kickoff, bro, where we fumbled the ball?
Yeah, it was literally the first play of the game.
It was the first play of the game. So first play of the game, we fumbled the ball on like the 20-yard line. And so the Eagles take over with that. That's a great advantage for them. But if you watch the video, literally it's a helmet-to-helmet contact, which then the Packer player who fumbled the ball recovered the ball and he got down by contact, but then they still gave the ball to the Eagles at the end of the day. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because the NFL posted that to their Instagram, and after everyone was hating on it, it ended up getting removed because they realized how wrong it was. Like that it was helmet-to-helmet contact and that the Packers did recover the ball. And yet that didn't go in our favor at all. And it's like, that is just BS. Like, and like I said, I don't want to, everyone can complain about the refs, but it's like the rest of the game had very similar vibes to that. But it's like the fact that the NFL posted that, shared that, and then ended up removing it because they realized how much in the wrong they were. Like, it's just, it's that is a little defeating. But like you said, the Lions and the Vikings did just get smacked, so that had nothing to do with the refs.
I mean, the Vikings had a weird call in their game, but then everyone's saying that the only reason why the Chiefs win is because of the refs. All I know is I want to see the three-peat. Let's see some history. Why not? We're here. You never know when, it might not happen again in our lifetime.
Our brother Tyler is if the Packers don't win, he wants the Chiefs to win. He's like, might as well just let them keep winning. That's what he says. Might as well just let them keep winning. And I don't really care about that. I really don't. I really just care that people in our division don't win. But I will say a Super Bowl I want to see is Bills in Washington. I would love for Washington to make it to the Super Bowl for a couple reasons. Number one, they haven't gone since 1991, so there's no real competition with them. It's not like
Hey, it's when I was born.
There we go. But it's like, it's like, it is what it is. Like, sure, go ahead. Like, good for you guys. But then the other thing is, no rookie quarterback has started the Super Bowl nor started and won the Super Bowl. So I would love to see,
I like Jaden Daniels.
Daniels do it. He's a beast. And he's, once again, rookie quarterback, but it was like, he was Heisman winner, and then I can't remember what else he did, but he's just killing it, and I'm impressed by him. He's a winner, and I like that. So I would love to see him do well. And then Bills, once again, Bills have never won. They did have their 4 losses in a row, which is insane. To make it to the Super Bowl 4 times, but then also lose 4 times in a row is insane. But our stepmom's also from Buffalo, New York.
The Bills fans have been tortured.
Yeah. But our stepmom's from Buffalo, New York, and so for her she's kind of a Bills fan, but she's also a Packers fan. But so for her to experience a Super Bowl win in her lifetime, that would be cool. So
I'm for the three-peat. I'm for the rookie winning. I'm for history. I want to see something new. I don't like Eagles fans. I mean, I like Nate, but I don't like Eagles fans. I think the I don't know. I don't know if you saw the video of that Eagles fan like berating that Packers fan. There was a girl Packer fan, and their fan was like being so wrong to her, calling her nasty words, and the internet did their thing, and the dude got so like he's no longer allowed to go to Eagles games. He got banned or whatever, and then the Eagles bought the Green Bay Packer fan like Packer merch and apologized. I think they even got her like a ticket. And then maybe they didn't get him a ticket to a game, but the dude was so nasty that the Eagles football team bought Green Bay Packers merchandise for her.
Yeah, it does come with culture. Philadelphia is a tough place. At the end of the day, like there's a lot, like it's not known necessarily for its hospitality. So that does happen. But no, one thing I struggle with like Eagles fans was the year that they went to the Super Bowl. I can't remember. Did they? Yeah, the year that they went to the Super Bowl and won it. Vikings were in the playoffs. Yes, but Vikings were in the playoffs with them. They ended up beating the Vikings, but the storyline leading up to that was that there was this literal like 98-year-old woman that was just so excited to see. She was a Vikings fan. She was so excited for the Vikings to make it to the Super Bowl. She wanted to see a Super Bowl win in her lifetime, and she was just super excited. And then when the Eagles ended up beating the Vikings, they were chanting. Her name was like Ellie or something, and they were saying like F you Ellie. Like that was the chant, was like F you Ellie. They were saying F you to this 98-year-old woman. Like, what is your problem? Like I do agree with you that Eagles fans are tough. But a lot of fans are tough, and I like players. I like Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is impressive. I like Jaden Daniels right now. I want to see a Bills Washington Super Bowl. I think it'd be fun.
Well, I'll tell you what. Ellie did not see a Super Bowl in her lifetime.
And she won't. No, I'm joking.
I don't know if she's still kicking it or not, but she ain't seeing one this year. No. I love football. It keeps me happy. And it's almost over. Life gets different after football season's over, especially in my household. Because that's like what me and my wife do is we'll watch every game. I lose weight after football season, that's for sure.
So we won't be able to dive too much into it, which is fine. But I love football season. I will say when the Packers are out, it's easier for me to not watch. Now I still watched the playoff games, and I'm still going to watch the playoff games, but I'm not as invested, especially because it's like, well, my team's out, and from there, like I enjoy really good football, so I'll still watch, but I'm not necessarily invested. But a big thing is, like I said, we won't touch on it this week. We'll have to revisit it next week. But I am doing 75 hard. And when I was talking with you guys about it, I think I was saying it is going to be hard, but more so it's going to be busy. And I'm going on day. I've got the numbers. Give me 1 second. I'm going on day 15 today. Today is day 15, and so 2 weeks in, and it's been busy. It's been busy. That's truth be told what it is. So for football season to be coming to an end, it's almost a blessing for me because it's like I'm not spending that time watching the games on the weekends or even on like a Monday night, Thursday night type deal. You know, it's like I'm getting that time back because it's very time consuming to be doing this 75 hard. That's truth be told, that's what it is it's just time consuming. I enjoy doing the workouts and I'm physically exhausted, but it's time consuming.
Indeed, it is. I think it's a good spot to end the podcast. I feel like we talked about what we wanted to talk about. Hopefully, you guys stuck through the Trump talk in the beginning.
I may have a disclaimer at the beginning, being like, "It's not all about Trump." No,
it's not about Trump.
Johnathan was mad today. Don't listen to him.
No, once again, like, I'm not a Trumper. I'm not right, left, this, that. I'm common sense, and I really feel like common sense is coming back to America, which gets me excited. I'm really excited for my financial situation to start turning different ways, and obviously, I'm working hard towards it. I work hard, and so it's not only dependent upon who's in the president's house, but I did see a big impact. And at the end of the day, I hope you guys are living a happy life, because I'm living a happy life. That we've been laughing and giggling this whole podcast, and so I love you, bro. What do you got?
Yeah, same stuff, you know. Really happy to catch up with you, bro. If you guys did not know, because of Jonathan's trip, we have actually haven't talked in 2 weeks, so it was great catching up with you, bro. And I'm happy about your trip and everything. I think that this was a great podcast. I hope you guys really did enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for commenting, being part of the conversation, and just joining in with us. And we really do appreciate it. We got big things coming. We got big things coming with by the 53rd episode of the Buckhouse podcast. Speaking of which, this is episode 43. So in 10 episodes, 10 weeks, we're gonna have some major changes, and I hope you guys like it. Yeah, pretty much just thank you guys for being you. Thank you guys for being us. And yeah, that's what I got to say.
Peace.
Peace.